Our presentation today is about the development of face, and we will be proudly showing you how this process goes. Hope you enjoy. Craniofacial development is an extraordinary complex process that requires the orchestrated integration of multiple specialized tissues, such as the surface ectoderm, neural crest, mesoderm, and pharyngeal endoderm, in order to generate the central and peripheral nervous systems, axial skeletons, musculature, and connective tissues of the head and face. We have the early 7 weeks, late 7 weeks, and 10th 7 weeks of development. And here we have 3 pictures. We're first going to show you the zygote stages from 4 to 10 weeks. See? Beautiful. And here we have the front view of face from 4 to 10 weeks too, and side view of the face. Amazing. This is the front view of face from 4 to 10 weeks. We'll see how this works, and we're going to discuss it. The maxillary and mandibular derived from pharyngeal arch 1. This is the front nasal prominence drawn in light blue, and this is the maxillary prominence drawn in purple, and this is the mandibular prominences drawn in red. During the 4th through the 10 weeks of development, the face forms the 5 prominences that grow and fuse together. These prominences include the front nasal prominence, 2 maxillary prominences, and 2 mandibular prominences. The front nasal prominence, as we can see in the light blue, are formed from the machine near the brain. Maxillary prominences are formed from the upper part of the pharyngeal arch 1, and the mandibular prominences in red formed from the lower part of the pharyngeal arch 1. During the 5th week, the front nasal prominence developed 2 thickenings near its later edges called nasoplacoids. Front nasal prominence, nasal placode. By the 6th week of development, each nasal placode develops a depression in its central called the nasal pit. The nasal pit will form the nostril. This is the nasal pit. The rest of the nasal placode may be subdivided in its lateral nasal process and a medial nasal process. The grooves between the maxillary prominence and its later nasal process is called the nasocranial groove, the nasolacrimal groove. During the 7th week, the 2 medial nasal processes fuse to form the intermaxillary segment. The intermaxillary segment and the maxillary prominence fuse, forming the upper lip and jaw architecture. Formed from a primary plate and a secondary plate. We will discuss secondary plate development first. The intermaxillary segment, the maxillary prominences, plantain shelves, tongue, and mandibular prominences. The secondary plate is formed from two platine shelves. The palatube shelves are tissue extensions from the maxillary prominences. This transverse section shows you the development of the palate from a primary palate and a secondary palate from left and right, platine shelves that fuse together. These events occur during the 8 to 10 weeks of development. The palate development. The incisive foramen represents the anatomic boundary between the primary palate and the secondary palate. Incisive foramen, primary palate, secondary palate, each in its own color. Platine shelves completely fused, they also form the uvula. The uvula. The, the uvula. The uvula. Week 8. By week 8, the nose attains more human-like shape. The maxillary prominences grow rapidly and become larger than the respective mandibular prominences. The 10-week embryo. By week 10, the facial features resemble that of a neonate. The inner maxillary process forms the philatrum of the upper lip at this point, and the maxillary prominences are starting to form well-defined cheeks and portions of the upper jaw. This picture represents the summary of what we learned today. We have A, B, C, D, and E. A represents the early 6th week of the development of the zygote. B represents the 6th week, C the 7th week, D the late 7th week, and E the 10th week. Thank you. This was done by Shereef Azab. Thank you.